indeed. Well, good evening and welcome to the Jonathan Ross Show. Let's start by taking a look and seeing who's in my green room tonight. My first guest is a genuine superstar and a music legend. She's won 8 Grammy Awards, she's sold over 200 million albums, sold more concert tickets than any other solo music performer in history, and given us some of the most memorable hits of all time. I couldn't be more excited. She'll be kicking off the show. It's Tina Turner, ladies and gentlemen. My next guest is a very funny comedian. She starts her brand new UK tour, Glitter Room, on Thursday night with Phil. She's here. It's the fabulous Catherine Ryan. Hey, Catherine, looking amazing as always. Also on the show tonight, a BAFTA-winning TV presenter, the jewel in the crown of British sports broadcasting. It is the brilliant Claire Balding. Lovely to see you again. Thank you for coming on. And completing our lineup tonight is the star of many great films. You loved him as the Amazing Spider-Man. He was nominated this year for an Oscar for his performance in Hacksaw Ridge. It is the wonderful Andrew Garfield. Here's young Andrew right there. And that's all. We've also got some fabulous music for you tonight. A Brit Award-winning artist who's back with his first album since 2010. He'll be performing at the end of the show. It is the welcome return of Plan B. Hi, Jen. How are you doing? Good to see you. Now, I should start by saying, if you've tuned in to see Conor McGregor, I'm sorry to say that after 2 UFC world titles and 21 MMA victories, Conor has finally been taken down by the most brutal of all opponents, man flu. Anyway, Conor, we wish you a speedy recovery, so hopefully we'll have you on the show sometime soon. Now, it's Halloween on Tuesday. Traditionally, that's a scary, spooky time of year, although really, let's face it, the whole of 2017 has been one long Halloween, hasn't it? It's been terrifying. I'm leaving the pumpkins out all year round from now on. Now, I love Halloween, but this Halloween, though, one of the best-selling items is this. It's the terrifying Peeper Creeper. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a spooky face you fix onto a window, so it looks as if someone is peering into your house. It's pretty scary. Take a look at this. It's horrible, and it looks like Mick Jagger's come home late again and forgotten his key. Apparently, the Peeper Creepers, they're selling like hotcakes. You might not be able to get one, but if you can't get one in time for Halloween, don't worry, you can do what we did, make your own one using this. It's a picture we cut out of the newspaper. That's terrifying, isn't it? Oh, it's the most terrifying sight of all. Theresa May trying to smile. Shall we get my first guest out, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah! Why don't we? I'm trying to resist saying the obvious, but why fight it? It's the truth. She's simply the best, and this is the reason why. Here she is. It's the one, the only Tina Turner, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming on. Lovely to have you here. Wow, look at that. Okay. Don't sit down.
All right.
Tina.
Thank you.
Tina, so lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure.
Now, you bought a bag on. Do you
Yeah,
want to
I brought you a
me
present.
a gift, which is to be encouraged.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this here and just see if there's anything good inside. Or... No.
Well, you're going to put good things inside, but that's just information.
Yeah, this is all going on eBay.
Yes, that's
Tina, so lovely to have you here. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Let's get it straight. Am I right in thinking you've retired from performing? Is that right?
Yes.
OK, when did that happen?
About 10 years ago.
OK, and what was the thinking? Why did you want to stop performing?
You know, I was always away from home, always away from home. I always missed doing house things, decorating and shopping and just living at home, seeing the seasons of home. Never saw that. Always airplanes, buses, cars, trains. And I just really got tired of partying every night, every year. the same. The older you get, also you change, I think.
Now, the reason why Tina's in town is they're announcing a very exciting event. It's starting in March next year at the Aldrich Theatre. It's on sale now for the musical of your life, Tina. Right there, the Tina Turner musical. And I imagine most of us are going to want to go and see that. Because what a life. Now, what's the shape you're going to be? Is it going to cover everything in your life? Is it going to start from your childhood and go through to the various stages of your career, or is it going to hit the ground running with you performing?
No, it starts from Nutbush, growing up. All of involved with the cotton fields and the church house, gin house, schoolhouse, outhouse, all of that. It's really quite old now, but it's still there. It starts with that. It starts with the grandmother raising me and all of the early stages into moving into teenager and then into St. Louis.
Now, Nutbush, you know, of course, I know Nutbush. I think we all know Nutbush because of the song, Nutbush City Limit. But
Yeah.
that is Nutbush, Tennessee, that's where you were born. That's where you grew up.
Nutbush, Tennessee is right. Yeah.
And that's the photograph. Now, is that a particularly quiet part of the town, or is that the town?
That's the town.
Wow. When was the last time you went back to Nutbush?
A very long time ago, actually. It was in the early stages with Ike and Tina, and I went back and visited the people that I had worked for. I was very proud to tell them that I was a star and all of that. Then we went to the area of where I lived with my grandmother. All of those houses were torn down, but it was nice. I could feel the memory of where I was there years ago. I mean, I can't even tell you how many.
You mentioned Ike, of course. You were married to Ike for many years, and of course, there were bad things associated with that relationship, and people know about this. It seems particularly relevant now with what's going on in the world and what's going on in show business. But you just walked out. Now, how hard was it to get out of that abusive and dangerous relationship?
Well, it was very difficult and dangerous because Ike was a violent person, and at that point, he was on drugs, very insecure, and I had no money, I had no place to go, but I just took a chance. I said the way out is through the door, and while he was on one of his sleeping times, I just left the hotel and went out the kitchen way and down to the freeway, actually, and I remember something. During that time, I didn't measure the speed of a car, and I was running across the freeway, and this big truck was coming, and it went, rah, rah, and it felt like it was over me. And I thought, well, I won't try that again. But I had to cross that freeway to actually get to the hotel across from where we were working.
So you took your life in your hands just to get away from there?
Yes.
Right there. Because when you were with him, he kept all the money from the act, didn't he? He kept all the money and basically...
He kept everything. He always said, when you leave, you will leave like you came. Right?
Wow. And why was it at that stage? What was it that happened then? Why was it you decided now I can take no more? Had something specific happened, or was it just the build-up over the years?
It was just time to not take any more. It was constantly abusive, other things going on. There was no control. There was no freedom. It was just the sameness, and the violence. And you just get fed up and you say, life is not worth living if I'm going to stay in this situation. And I stayed there as long as I did because I was trying to help him from the beginning when he told me about his life and how hard it was for him to get a career going. And I promised him that I would never leave him. And I actually stayed because of that promise. But then it got to the point where it became really bad, really bad. So it's time to go.
And, you know, we've talked a little about the hard times you had with Ike, but what are the high points for you in your career? When you look back, what are the things that you look back on and you think, well, I enjoyed that. That's one of the most enjoyable things I had.
One of the things that I remembered was the first time I got a standing ovation or an encore. It was a television show, and I had finished and gone off stage, and they started to... And I remember I came back out, and I was so excited, and I said, do you mean it? I had never had an encore before.
Wow. But I'm sure you had a few afterwards.
Well, yes, after that I got used to it and I found out how to handle it and thank the people and all of that stuff.
You wait till you try to leave tonight, they're not going to let you go. You're going to be here for days, you know that. Let me ask about some of the other performers you've worked with and people who perhaps played a part in your career, especially when you came back as a solo artist, because I believe, is it true that David Bowie and both Bowie and Mick Jagger were helpful and instrumental in you choosing the material?
Yes, very much. They were there like, well, first of all, Mick wanted to do the dance. David was just a gentleman and being there some kind of way trying to find out what he wanted to do with Tina because they were like brothers kind of like brothers that you are close friends.
Yeah.
And then I end up doing an album with David and a live show. We were dancing tonight. There it is.
Well, I've got a clip of that. This was live in 1985. I think it was in Birmingham, and it's incredible on stage. Let's watch this. And tonight, it's a beautiful version. I'm going to ask you about this afterwards. Have a look at this.
I will love you till I reach the end. I will love you till I die. I will see you in the sky tonight. Tonight.
Amazing, and that... I mean, don't they... You look like the two most beautiful people on the planet, and my thought watching that is you're going to get a room straight after this, because that was chemistry, Tina.
That was chemistry.
What did he say to you? Do you remember what he said to you?
I'm not telling you.
Because you know there's speculation about what he said to you there. I mean, you know they've had lip readers on that.
No report on that.
Well, let's have another look again. Let's take a look and see if you can figure out what David said to Tina. So, if you know someone who can lip read, watch that, and you're... I mean... OK. Well, that's... I mean, when was the last time you spoke to David? You must have been close with him, because, of course, it was just enormously sad, and so many of us were you know, saddened and moved by his death. When was the last time you were in touch with him?
I think I saw him in Brussels, and that was the actual last time that I went to his dressing room and we said hello and talked about the show and where he was going. And I remember the last thing he said, "Love you, Tina." I said, "Love you, David." And that was all. The next thing I heard, he was sick. And then after that, I saw Iman and I asked her how he was, and she said he's okay because they kept it undercover. And then the news came that he was dying.
Yeah.
So
It's a terrible surprise to almost all of us. And you don't sing professionally anymore, but you must sing to yourself. You must sing in the shower, or do you sing to your husband?
I'll tell you what song I sing. I want something just like this. Da, da, da. I like that. I love that. That one I sing.
But if you hear a track that's associated with you, you must want to hum along to it. I mean, if, for example, you heard something like this going on, and this was just in the background, and it's rolling in, it must be kind of hard to resist just letting a tiny bit, just a little, you know...
I don't sing it like that anymore.
I so thought we had you then. I so thought we had you. Let's hear a little bit how you changed it.
Okay, it started the strumming of the guitar, and I had a step that way. It started like that. Every now and then, kind of like to do things nice and easy. Then we change it to, you know why? You'll say, why? You have to say why. You know why? Why? Because we like to do it nice and rough, and then we will,
That's it. Wow. We got our own gig right here.
I haven't done that for 10 years.
Wow. Well, you've still got it. There's no doubt about it. You know, when we think of your performance, we don't just think of that incredible voice. We think of the incredible moves that went with it.
Yeah.
No, were you taught, or did you develop them yourself? Where did that shimmy come from?
I don't know what that shimmy is. I thought I did mostly footwork, but I don't know. It was the pony. It was.
You see, you're shimmying right now. You can't stop yourself.
It goes with the dancing. The whole body becomes one when you start the dancing.
Yeah.
So the shimmy probably came out of the movement of what the foot was doing, you know. It was all connected.
You don't perform anymore, but do you still dance around the kitchen like that ever if something comes on?
No, you know, a designer never wears his clothes. A singer and a dancer never dances or sings.
OK, let's have a look. I'm going to remind you, you obviously don't need one, of Tina in action. Look at these dance moves. These are amazing. That was from a Dutch TV special we got that from. So you're very happy in retirement, it seems to me.
Yes, I tell you, my last working day was here in London, and the 2 nights before the tour was ended, I got a really bad cold, and so I had to stay 2 days later. So I went, I did the shows, and they were terrific. And then I got on the plane, and I felt like it was the end. I was with my cook, I was with my husband now. I said, that's it. I'm not going back.
Well, although, you know, all of us are thinking, wouldn't it be great to see you again live? And I was lucky enough to see you live once, but at the same time, I don't think anyone will begrudge you that, because if anyone ever earned it, you certainly earned it.
Thank you.
You know, and...
Thank you.
There's no doubt about that. And, you know, Tina, you know, I could sit here and talk to you all night given the chance, but of course we can't. I'm just going to say thank you so much for being here. It was an enormous pleasure for me and for everyone, I'm sure. Tina Turner, ladies and gentlemen. Look, Tina, standing ovation. I'm joining her. There you go. Thank you very much, the fabulous Tina Turner. Now, Tina's going to head off now, but don't go away, as I'll be joined by Catherine Ryan, Claire Balding and Andrew Garfield. See you after the break. Welcome back to the show. Let's get my next guest right out in there. Originally from Canada, she's quickly become a huge hit on the UK comedy scene, so much so, we've refused to let her ever go home. It is the one and only Catherine Ryan. You know, first of all, you're kind of an honorary Brit now, aren't you? How long have you been... you've lived over here since, is it 2008 you first came over?
Yes, I moved here properly in 2008, though you mustn't call me a Brit around my father,
Why
who
not?
is from the Republic of Ireland.
Ah.
Wouldn't like it. Wouldn't like it. He's very, like, Cork. I'm a Cork girl to him.
So but you live here, though, in the UK?
Don't tell him that either. He will find me.
And he'll Conor McGregor on you?
Yes, you know what they're like. No, I love the UK. My daughter was born in London, and, I mean, I think in Canada I wasted a lot of time making friends with strangers, and that made my day go, you know, really slowly.
Yeah.
But in London, you just get to your business and no one talks to you.
Yeah. It's much more, yeah, it's kind of a sensible way to live. It's much more straightforward.
No one asks how your mum is doing.
Yeah. And do you, are there things then about the UK that still delight you, that you haven't got used to yet? Are there still any things that shock you about the way we are, apart from our lack of friendliness?
I mean, I think your vocabulary is definitely... I'm from a garbage town, like true trash.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing that I can even walk in a straight line. Like, I don't know how I got here. My daughter, though, will just throw out terms like, she'll say, she was swimming and she said, "Mummy, prepare my towel." I was like, prepare your towel. And then I was crying about another failed relationship, you know me. And she said, "Don't cry, Mummy, that boy was a nuisance." So, I mean, you're very fancy.
It sounds like you're raising Mary Poppins. It sounds like she's...
I recommend having a British child. It's like having a tiny and effective butler at home.
So you mentioned failed relationship there. So are you single again now?
I'm out of the game. I'm going to remain single until I'm the age that Celine Dion is now.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's an entire O.J. Simpson prison sentence and a half older than I am.
Yeah. Is that how you measure time these days? By chunks of OJ time?
Yeah, she's like a Kylie Jenner older than I am. You know, and I just think women have this pressure. I got a lady on the school run. Do you know Jane from North London? Anyone? She's always like, oh, you're running out of time to have another baby.
Wow, so she's putting the pressure on you.
This woman is on my dick.
Wow.
She's like, she's in charge of the cake sale, and she's very handsy with that. She wants me to always be a part of it. Catherine, will you do the cake sale? She's got 7 children, by the way.
Yeah.
She's got a cervix like a hula hoop. Just, you know, having a baby every 4 months. Not the snack, not the delicious snack
Not the
hula
small
hoop.
hula hoop. Oh,
No.
one you wear around the...
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
But that's fine. If you work, that's fine. If you stay home with your kids, whatever. But Jane's like, do the cake sale, Catherine. I will not. Because the last time I helped Jane, she sold my cupcakes for 10p. And my time is more valuable than that. I was like, are we selling these cakes for Bangladeshi kids or 2 Bangladeshi kids, Jane? Where are you getting your price point?
Are your cakes good, though, or was she factoring in that they weren't great cakes? Maybe she tasted one and thought 10p is actually quite a high price point for these.
Well, I don't know. But I wrote her a check for £100 this year. I told her, you piss off and make 1,000 cupcakes.
Yeah. Let's see how you like it.
But,
Now, your face or mine is on Comedy Central. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a very funny show, you and Jimmy Carter together. And that's why I was asking about relationships, because a lot of the time you do seem to be almost...
no, we're not dating. No.
Yeah. Which is, I think, great for you. How do you enjoy working with Jimmy?
I love Jimmy. We're also doing Roast Battle for Comedy Central. That's coming out soon. I think he's very professional. He gets it done quickly. I like him. He's a grafter like me.
Yeah. Well, you are a grafter. You work really hard, don't you?
Thank you, yes.
It was a compliment, and it was taken as one. I'm pleased it was.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel that I worked this hard when I worked at Hooters.
Yeah.
And,
Well, people think that's a joke, but you did work at Hooters,
I
didn't
did
you?
work at Hooters. And people in the UK don't always know what it is. It's just like a family restaurant.
Well, it's not... Yeah.
It's an owl sanctuary.
We said your thing, but are you dating? Do you like dating British men?
I have only dated, I was going to say 1 British man, but then I have to lie a bit so as not to identify anyone. So, I've dated a few British men, and one of them was a monster. I was dating a boy for a while, and then he moved to Japan, which I feel is overkill, by the way.
Yeah, it's a long way to go.
Right? Go to Bristol, I won't follow you. You come anywhere outside my immediate postcode, I'm coming off the pill. I'm really lazy.
Have you used any of the dating apps? Because the young people I know, to me, you're a young person still.
You?
Yeah. There's Tinder, of course. There's Grindr for gay men, and there's a new one called Bumble. Have you used any of those? The other ones?
No.
You wouldn't do online dating like that?
I wouldn't, because I guess my daughter is 8 years old, and I'm acutely aware that she's only mine for a little while longer. She'll be off, doing her own thing. And I won't be pressured by people like Jane, who tell me, you gotta settle down and have another baby. I don't.
Yeah.
You're running out of time. We're all running out of time.
Is Jane, she said she's North London. She sounds like she's from the deep south. You're running out of time, honey. That's what she sounds like.
That's what she says to me. I'm like, Jane, I have more time than you, because I don't have to help find 14 tiny shoes every morning.
Yeah.
And I don't have to sleep with your husband, do I? I fuck him because I want to. No, I do.
I imagine we've changed Jane's name for the sake of this story, haven't we?
I've learned the hard way.
So you love being a mum and you love being with your daughter, and that's a lovely thing.
So I just am not... I bought a house. By house, I mean home. By home, I mean flat. Yeah. And then I think that I'm acutely aware that my grandmother wouldn't have been allowed to do that, or have a bank account, or carry a passport without the signature of a man. And so I just felt it was really amazing to me to have a property and to put my daughter in the property as an immigrant single mom and just be like, yeah. So now I'm decorating it. That's what my tour show, Glitter Room, is loosely about, just the trials and tribulations of having builders come in the house and be like, no, you can't have that. If you have that, no man will live here.
Is that what they say?
That's what they said to me, and I was like, really? Get it on the wall. Hurry up.
What were you hoping to put on the wall that elicited that response, though?
Well, there is a glitter room
So a glitter room is, I think, would be a welcome thing.
Thank you. I mean, you're right on my style. I think you would like my house.
So hold it, it's glitter, like a glitter ball, or all the walls are glittery?
It's all of that. It's Violet's room. She wanted glitter walls and a glittery carpet and a glittery ceiling and a glittery ball. And when I was explaining that to a builder, he looked me in the face and he said, "When will the decision maker be home?"
Wow. By which he meant Violet, your 8-year-old daughter. Yeah.
It's like, girl, she's at school for 2 more hours, so.
So the tour has started? It was just about to start? It starts on Thursday, I believe, is that
I've
right?
started the tour. I took half term off because, like you, I take Halloween very seriously. And then the tour resumes on Thursday.
And so does your daughter go and see you live? Can you tour? Do you take her with you ever, or do you leave her here?
I do take her sometimes. Annoyingly, now that she's 8 years old, she has a really busy social schedule. And she needs to go to school and things like that.
Yeah, it's irritating.
But I do take her some of the weekends. And she sings at the end sometimes.
Hold on, but your material is it's quite adult.
Yeah.
And so...
She's not allowed to watch the show.
Oh, I see. She doesn't see the show.
See, when she was a baby and we'd have to tour around and times were tough, she would sleep. I would look at her. She'd fall asleep on the other side of the curtain with a little pillow, and she wasn't listening to me anyway. And then every once in a while, she'd roll over and an arm would flop out onto the stage. Like just a baby's arm, and I'd have to, like, just slide it back in with my foot.
Catherine, it's so lovely to see you again. You can stick around for the rest of the show, I know. The fabulous Catherine Wire, ladies and gentlemen. Still to come, we've got Claire Balding out here and Andrew Garfield. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to the show. Let's get my next guest out. She's one of our most accomplished and versatile presenters on TV, from the Olympics to crufts to rambling. She's done it all. It is Claire Balding. Claire, come and sit down.
We're going to try and sparkle.
There's a lot of sparkle going on there.
Yes.
You'd be welcome in the glitter room, I imagine.
Yes, we look like an unstoppable Strictly team.
Claire, do you enjoy glamour like this? Because I guess when you're out there with the horses and when you're presenting, you can't really wear the kind of glittery clothes, can you, so much?
Well, no, I have to wear... when I was doing the racing, I did have to dress up a bit and wear the big hats and things for Royal Ascot.
Oh, I suppose so.
But no, I'd be much happier just in jeans and a jacket.
Is it fair then to say horses are your first love, really, aren't they?
Well, yeah, and that's the world I grew up in, yeah, definitely.
Do you still ride horses a lot? Are you...
Occasionally, no, not very
Not
often,
so
to be
much?
honest. But I am probably the only person on earth who, if somebody says you look like a horse, I genuinely think it's a compliment.
And the Queen, who is obviously a very keen horsewoman, I read recently she's made, like, more money in prize money this year than any other. Is that correct?
No, not quite, not than any other, but she actually has got a very good return on her investment.
So she's invested in her horses.
Yeah, and she's bred them. She doesn't go to the sales and just buy one that looks nice.
Yeah.
She's actually bred them, so she knows the traits of certain horses. So if she's got a foal that's born that's out of a mare that she had in training, that's grandmother she also owned, and da-da-da, she knows exactly the sort of behaviour that horse will start.
Because there's like
to
a
show.
real science to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a real science to it. And the Queen, she kind of knows you, or you know her, is that right? She recognises you and knows what you're about and respects your interest in horses as well?
I don't know whether she respects me, Jonathan. I think that's going a little bit far.
I think she does.
But, yeah, my dad trained for the Queen, so actually growing up, she would come and see the horses about once a year, and sometimes he'd forget to tell us that the Queen was coming, so you would have that situation where you came back to the house and, you know, the Queen was there for breakfast. That was really odd.
But
and he'd forgotten to tell us, you know, and I ran in, yeah. I thought it was a bit odd because we weren't having breakfast like the way we usually had it. It was all a bit smarter.
You had a butler.
Not quite.
Yeah.
But there was the Queen sitting at, you know...
And what would you have to do? Just bow?
Well, no, I was meant to curtsy, but I forgot. Because I'd run in and I thought, oh, great, cooked breakfast, fantastic sausages. Oh, oh hi!
Now, Claire's here this evening because she has a new book out, ladies and gentlemen, The Racehorse Who Disappeared, and it's for children, but it's kind... Is this based on the real story of Shergar? Was that what inspired it?
Inspired by. So when I was 10, Shergar won the Derby in 1981, and
it was a huge news story when...
Well, when he won the Derby, he won by 10 lengths, and
Yeah.
actually my dad trained the horse that was second, and the jockey on my dad's horse thought he'd won the Derby because he couldn't see Shergar, he was so far in front.
Wow.
And the guy, Walter Swinburne, rode Shergar, and he was only 19 when he won the Derby, and just looked like a child of 12. And I thought, you know, growing up, I was thinking, my God, this kid not much older than me has just won the Derby.
Yeah.
Shergar got retired, and he went to stud in Ireland. And in February 1983, he went missing and he disappeared and he was kidnapped. And he was never seen again. And
Yeah.
no one knows what happened to Shergar.
I know.
And when that happens, and you're so attached to this horse anyway because he's like your rock star. You know, I didn't have posters of pop stars on my walls. I had horses.
You
and
had
that's-
Shergar.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, and people would always, and they still would make jokes about, you know, Lord Lucan and Shergar there together. You know, all of that.
I know
you
where he went. I know where he is.
You know where he is?
Yeah. Queen took him. The Queen's got him. That's my theory. The Queen stole him. The Queen rides him. Well, not anymore. He'd be too old. But the Queen, you know what she's like. She can't have it. She's going to take it, Claire.
Just see, you haven't got any letters after
Yeah, I'm not going to do it.
No.
I have. I've got them.
Have you got them?
Don't be so surprised. Okay.
But no,
so no one knew. You're
inspired-
right. It's an
no.
amazing story.
So inspired by Shergar and this great mystery and this thing that, you know, made such an impact on me when I was young, clearly I've written a book for children. It is not going to end with a horse that is,
Not
you know,
found.
body parts strewn across Ireland. That would be wrong.
And you've recorded the book on tape for this.
Yes,
is that
I've
right?
done the audiobook for all my books.
Now, how's that? Do you do the accents in the book when you're
Yes,
doing it?
I do,
OK,
but-
could we hear a couple now?
Well, the trouble is I only really have one go-to accent, which is quite West Country. So everyone ends up sounding a bit "All right, my lover," and a little bit. I go a little bit West Country for anyone really.
Yeah.
And then my two villains in it were Conor McGregor here. One of them is called. His surname is McGregor.
Wow.
One of them.
So
one
he's
of your
an
clan.
So he's
Yes.
an Irish villain you've got in it.
One of them is.
And so how would he speak then? Would you attempt the Irish accent, or would he also be West
He
Country?
luckily doesn't say very much in the book, so I didn't have to.
So the small amount he does say, Claire, how does
He
say?
whispers as well.
He whispers.
Yeah.
You're really trying to get out of this,
Yeah.
aren't you? So he speaks only a few words. He whispers.
You're taking your horse. I want £1 million. I want £1 million for your horse's dog meat. So it's quite chilling and threatening.
It's chilling and
Yeah.
threatening, and I'm glad Conor McGregor isn't here to hear
'cause
that.
he'd
I'll
be
be
terrified.
Would you ever write an adult book, a book for adults? I mean, I know adults can enjoy your books. But
Yeah, I mean, it all because I wrote 2 memoirs, and after that, the publishing company said to me, "Would I write fiction?" And I was a bit scared about writing adult fiction because I didn't want to write sex scenes.
Yeah.
But now, why not?
I just didn't
why
want to write
you just wouldn't be comfortable writing them or knowing?
I don't want to write them, Jonathan. I don't want to write about sex
Why not?
because it's embarrassing.
But you do it, don't you?
Yeah, but I don't want to write about it.
But do you ever read a book with a sex scene and enjoy that? I mean, if someone else has written a book with a sex scene in it,
Yes.
you don't go, oh, you read it.
No, I read it.
And you presumably quite enjoy it, or
No.
you find it
Well,
badly
if
written.
it's obviously relevant for
Okay,
plot.
okay.
But yes.
So as a writer, then, don't you think that you?
Well,
I mean, have you tried?
No. And I did get Gilly Cooper, I know quite well, and I was interviewing her at the Cheltenham Literary Festival, and she said to me, why haven't you written adult books? Don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous, darling. Don't be ridiculous. And I said, I can't write. I just don't think I can write about sex.
So you must have tried. Have you tried writing?
No, I haven't. And she just said, close your eyes and think of England. Just get on with it. Okay.
You're really pushing for the sex scene.
Well, because if that seems to be the barrier
Yeah.
to Claire writing an adult book, I'm saying, just do it, sister.
You could just have a real, like a lazy shag in there, you know? Like, I removed but one of my trouser legs.
Or just a
Do
perfunctory...
people do that?
Yeah.
Seriously, people do that?
Oh, yeah.
That's really lazy.
Yep.
Do they sometimes not take them off? You? Is this you?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
One leg of
Really?
the tights.
Just one leg of the or like, I mean, I probably haven't taken my shirt off in years.
Wow.
Why would I? You could just move everything to one side.
I think we found an elegant solution to the barrier.
I think also if we teamed up, I can do like the bulk of the plot and the characterization and all of that, and you just write the lazy sex scenes.
Do you know the jockey A.P. McCoy?
Yes, very well.
He has a full-on sex book.
Well, it is a novel, actually, to be fair, but you're right, there's quite a lot of sex in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you read it, Claire?
Yeah.
I love
I skipped through those bits, so that was embarrassing because I know him.
It's full on. It's quite.
Well, it's the racing world, Jonathan.
Is the racing world full of that kind of stuff?
Oh, they never stop.
Wow.
Riding, 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 riding. Riding, riding some more. Rider finish.
I might have to start watching it on ITV now. Claire Balding, ladies and gentlemen, a lovely guest. Thank you so much for being here, Claire. Still to come, I'll be chatting to the fabulous Andrew Garfield and Plan B, who are performing live right here in the studio. Don't go away. Welcome back. Let's get my next guest out here. He's one of the brightest young actors in Hollywood and Britain's leading Andy Murray lookalike. It is, of course, Andrew Garfield.
I get that a lot. Hello, you're very brilliant and funny. You're lovely, you're wonderful. Everyone's so wonderful. Why is everyone so wonderful?
You look wonderful. Doesn't he look wonderful? Andrew, do you get that a lot, the Andy Murray comparison?
I do, yeah. My friends will be very happy you said that, because they're always trying to convince me that I do look like... Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
But I also get a Federer and I get Nadal. I get like a Federer, Nadal, Murray love child, which would be amazing.
Yes. It'd be amazing to watch. A sex scene like that in a book would be incredible.
This is now, it's all coming together, as it were. Sorry. Bad phrasing. That's why I can't do it.
Wasn't that easy? Wasn't that easy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fine.
Almost like I wasn't even thinking about it.
Andrew, you know, I've admired you on screen for a while, but it was when you played Spider-Man, I think that the world really got to know you, because, of course, that was a huge movie and a big success. Was it strange for you to suddenly be famous on that level, to be in a movie on that scale?
It was, yes, it was. I kind of resisted it a lot. I was young. I was 25, 26, even though that's, you know, arguably an adult. But when I was 26, no, I was not an adult. It was just a lot to hold. I struggled to hold it all. I kind of rejected it a lot.
What do you mean by that? You mean the pressures of being that well known, or just
Yeah.
carrying that franchise on your back?
The franchise, no, not about the work. The work was fine. It was the attention which I struggled with, to be honest. The visibility, the being known, the not being able to walk around the street and just have a relationship or have a meal with people. I found that quite intrusive and quite difficult.
So when were you aware that things had changed? When did that begin to enter your life in a different way? When were you aware of that?
Yeah, it was straight after the film came out. Everything just kind of flipped. And then
So
suddenly...
what? So if you were out, you'd be...
Well, yeah, either that or people, kind of stealing pictures of you during dinner while you're covered in mashed potatoes and sausages. I'm a very messy eater.
Wow.
Literally sausages in
Andrew,
my shoes.
maybe that's why they were taking pictures of you.
No one knew who I was. It's like, why is that guy got
Why
sausages
is he eating
in his
like
pockets? No, so yeah, it was that, yeah. Yeah, interesting. What do you guys reckon about fame and being known and all that stuff?
It depends. You gotta go low. You need to have breakfast somewhere that Andrew Garfield would never be.
That's what I do that.
Okay, well then I can't help you.
You're quite distinctive looking. Do you ever get mistaken for anyone else?
I once had a really extraordinary situation in Ireland. I was over for the racing, and this guy had a really long conversation with me in a bar, and he said, got to buy you a drink, got to buy you a drink. God, you look so much younger in the flesh, so you do. You do. You look so much younger in the flesh. Have a drink. Come on, Gloria, what are you drinking? And I told Gloria Hunniford this story because that's who they thought it was. And I felt really bad I'd taken Gloria's drink.
You know, for someone who doesn't like doing accents and doesn't want to write a sex scene, you fall into them both very comfortably, it seems. So let's go back to Spider-Man a little bit, though. So, because you did the 2 movies, and I thought you were going to do a 3rd one, and then either you walked away from the role or it just ended. What happened there?
Oh, come on, Jonathan Ross.
Well, you know I'm a Spider-Man fan.
I know, but I can't talk about those things. These are things that are under lock and key. And
Oh,
there's
I see.
a non-disclosure.
No,
and
Andrew,
someone would snipe me and kill me, and there'd be a bullet that goes through my face.
So it's a bad... OK, I didn't realise it was
No,
a
I can
false
talk about it.
situation.
I'm just kidding. I didn't do another Spider-Man movie, you're right, yeah. So. But, sex in books. For English people to know. No, sorry. No. In all seriousness, I love that character since I was 3 years old.
I thought you were amazing. I love when Tobey Maguire did it. When you took over, I thought, oh, man, this is amazing. So I was thrilled to see you, and I did want to see some more.
We worked really hard. We worked really hard on it, and I'm very, very proud of the work in it. But also, you know, they moved on and they found this amazing guy, Tom Holland.
Well, you've spoken very nicely about that and said how good he is.
Well, he
and
is
how much you
wonderful.
enjoy it. He is wonderful.
Yeah. You know, I really am genuinely happy they chose another Brit. And I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter, guys. At all, all right? No, I really am, though. It's like, it's been really good to let that go. It has been really... Why am I still talking about it?
I don't know, because I stopped talking about it 5 minutes ago. You just... OK, we can move on now.
Well, I've just been overcompensating.
Yeah.
Because I'm fine with it. I really am.
Let's talk about your new movie, of course. The new movie's called Breathe, and this, once again, it's a remarkable story, and you are playing a real person, someone who was alive and who, in a way, changed the world as well. Tell us about this man.
Yeah, Robin Cavendish. Robin was an athlete in the 50s. He was a captain in the army, very gregarious, extroverted, charismatic young man. Married this beautiful woman, Diana. They moved to Nairobi, and then Robin got struck with polio at the age of 28 and was paralyzed from the neck down and couldn't breathe on his own, so he had to have a tracheostomy. And from then on, he lived on an external ventilator. And he was given a few months to live, and he kind of didn't want to live as a paralyzed person. But his wife wouldn't let him go, and they had this baby on the way as well.
If I can interrupt, because the key thing that strikes me as being so powerful in stories is back then, certainly, if you had to have a machine to breathe for you, you were going to stay in a hospital, an institution for the rest of your life. Never leave that building, never go anywhere else. And so you could see his suffering and the situation he found himself, why it weighed so heavily on them. And this is what's remarkable about the story, is the way that, in his life, he helped to change that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He was the first person living on a ventilator who decided to risk it and to leave the hospital walls, to leave the constant care of doctors and nurses, and to live at home. He thought, if I'm going to live, if I choose to live, I want to live. I don't want to just survive. I want to be in the world, and I want to be connected, and I want to kind of break convention and take huge risks. And his wife agreed, and they did it.
Let's show you a clip, and we'll talk about it a bit more after this. This is Breathe, and it is out right now. Look at this.
I'm not feeling too good. I can't move. What's going on?
Robin, get him on a respirator.
People paralyzed by polio don't last long.
Can't move anything from the neck down. Can't even breathe for yourself.
I love you, and I want Jonathan to know you.
You can't love this.
Yes, I can. Robbie's going to leave the hospital.
No one with your husband's disability exists outside a hospital.
Has anyone ever tried? Robin! Robin! You're right, darling.
Much better.
See our son grow up.
Your life is my life.
I don't want to just survive. I want to truly live.
My love. My life.
That's Breathe, it's out right now. It's a very powerful story. I was curious, though, when you're on a set like that, there are times when you are playing very dark scenes and dark moments in his life and the lives of those around him. How do you keep it light? How do you keep it light in between? How do you keep yourself kind of upbeat?
Well, this film was light. It was very light and it was very joyful. I did a play recently called Angels in America. That was hard. That was 7.5 hours of an AIDS epidemic on stage, basically. So me and the cast had to figure out a way to keep things light. In between shows, we'd play a game that I made up called the Game of Giddiness and Freedom.
So a game you've made up? Because I haven't heard of this game before.
No, it's my trademark.
And freedom.
Game of Giddiness and Freedom.
What are the rules?
The only rule is, well, you just say things to each other. And the only rule is you don't think. You just say words that have no... You're not thinking about anything, and truth tends to come out.
And so this is like stream of consciousness, almost?
Yeah, and just no thinking, just words.
And what, do you have to say sentences, or just gobbledygook?
You can say, yeah, anything. You just don't think. Hey, John, your name's Jonathan, my name's John. What are you doing for the rest of the night?
OK, let's see if we can play this, then. Let's see if we can play this. Catherine, are you ready for this?
Yeah, because that's what I do all the time. I just talk.
Go. Do it.
Okay, well, I really had a nice time being here, and I can't watch your super sad, scary movies because I don't like to feel like that and grow as a person. But I respect them in their greatness and awards that you win for doing them. I like horses, not as much as you do, but I mean...
This is like a kind of cheap therapy that we're putting her through. Claire, are you ready to just, without thinking in advance, what's it called? The game of giddiness and
freedom.
And freedom. So giddily and free now.
Hot air balloon floating, floating, floating high into the sky, and it's got pink and yellow and purple as the colours in it, and in it are 4 people, and they're flying over the earth, and down below Tina Turner is singing.
That was wonderful.
No,
and so lyrical and beautiful. It brings out the truth of the person. John. I just keep going to John. I just keep saying John. I'm the worst at the game on the couch. Everyone else is so good at the game that I invented.
Are you still playing the game, or were you just talking?
How do you know when the game is over? OK, Andrew, it's great to have you. The film, I'm recommending the film because I watched it and I enjoyed it, and I didn't know whether I necessarily would, because we often see films where people are in situations which are adverse, but it's handled with such truth and such lightness and deftness that I think it's a real tribute to you and the guys you made it with. It's an amazing film. It's called Breathe. It's out now. Andrew Garfield, ladies and gentlemen. That's quite a game. Thanks to all my guests tonight, the fabulous Tina Turner, Catherine Ryan, Claire Balding and Andrew Garfield. Join me here on the show next week, when on the couch will be Oscar-winning Jodie Foster, David Williams is here, Rasheen Connerty, and we have Blondie chatting and performing live. But now, with his new single, Heartbeat, it is the fabulous Plan B.
I know that I could, but things are different now since I stopped caring. And I don't worry about what people saying, 'cause there's no way that I can stop them thinking what they're thinking. I'm just listening to my heartbeat, to the truth. I've been singing from the start since I learned the truth. I gotta make my own decisions about what to do. Can't be changing up the rhythm just for you. When it looks like I've lost my way, even though I'm saying I'm okay, let me be. But there's nothing no one can do when all odds are stacked against me. My true colors shine through the ball of deception that's been clouding your perception. Who I am, I'm ready for rejection. I'm not begging for acceptance. I'm just listening to my heartbeat, to the truth. I've been singing from the start since I learned the truth. I gotta make my own decisions about what to do. Can't be changing up the rhythm just for you. I'm just listening to my heartbeat, to the truth. I've been singing from the start since I learned the truth. I gotta make my own decisions about what to do. Can't be changing up the rhythm just for you. I did it just to prove them wrong, 'cause they said I never make anything of myself. I said I'd do it all alone. Just kept on following my heartbeat and nothing else. I'm just listening to my heartbeat, to the truth. I've been singing from the start since I learned the truth. I gotta make my own decisions about what to do. Can't be changing up the rhythm just for you. I'm just listening to my heartbeat. I'm just following my heartbeat. I'm just listening to my heartbeat. I'm just following my heartbeat.
Plan B.
And I'm